a developer interview made by Sarth with the hardcore Blizzard developers and such. And this is what we're going to go through now. Guys, there's going to be a lot of different topics that we're going to be talking about, hardcore related. And I think we're going to just jump straight into it here, guys, and see what it's all about.
The official Hardcore Realms have just been announced on the PTR. They will be coming tomorrow. But before that, I want to break down what we should be able to experience and what Blizzard's philosophy was looking like moving forward into the Hardcore Realms. Luckily, today we'll be joined by two of Blizzard's very own developers. Anna Resendez, the lead software engineer, and Tim Jones, the senior technical designer. Both of whom had a massive role in us actually being able to experience Hardcore on a Blizzard official capacity. So today they're here to answer as many questions as they can regarding the Hardcore Realms and what we have to see in the future. We're going to get into things like dungeon lockouts. Can we bubble hearth? Can we use Flask of Petrification? And will there be world buffs? Everything you can think of should be answered here today. Thank you guys for being here, and let's get right to it.
I'm Anna Resendez. I am lead software engineer for the World of Warcraft Classic team, and I'm super excited to talk today about Hardcore Classic.
Oh, I like the little logo they made. This is the logo.
I'm Tim Jones. I'm the senior technical designer on the World of Warcraft Classic team, and I'm also excited to talk to you guys about Hardcore.
I like that the
I like the logo.
Finally see the official logo.
Some guy.
I think that's the first time. That looks, that looks awesome. I'm so stoked. Thank you guys for joining me today. My name is Sarth, as anyone watching this probably knows.
Sarth is cool.
I am a enjoyer of WoW Classic, so
yeah, I really like Sarth.
Excited to get to talk to you guys. Tim, it's good to talk to you again.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
To talk to you about Old War. Yeah, so I'm really excited, and Anna, really nice to meet you.
He's a good dude. Yeah,
Thanks
he's cool
for being here today. Let's get into it. The hardcore community, as you guys know,
so the first thing is solo self-found restrictions. That's the first
really
part.
Adamant about the whole solo self-found thing. It's been a community-driven thing, and I know Blizzard isn't usually of the mindset to add restrictions to the way people play the game.
Makes sense.
Is there anything that you guys are planning to implement for solo self-found? Maybe something like a Soul of Iron, like a buff on a personal character that doesn't end up doing as many like trading. I guess we haven't even asked if there's going to be trading, and you haven't officially said.
Okay, yeah, we already know this, guys. Okay, we do know trading is allowed. What Sarth is suggesting here, obviously he said it, is like some sort of a Soul of Iron buff where you can see this guy is solo self-found, this guy is a elite hardcore, whatever. He's not trading anything like that. I don't believe they've added that yet, or anything that they've stated at least so far, but I do think it's something that could be worthwhile looking into, right? Because solo self-found has been a big reason why, you know, this whole thing has grown so much as it has. Right? I do think that could be a really, really good, not fix, but it could be a good medium of still having a version of the game where you can play solo self-found without restricting the rest of hardcore in a way, right? Because I do know the community is very split on the SSF versus non-SSF whole thing, right? But yeah.
The main plan for hardcore is, you know, like first you have one life, but then if you die, however you die, that's done, right? There's not gonna be. We're gonna block the restrictions to resurrect, use Ankh, or any other like kind of like weird items that could get you back to life. All of that is gonna be restricted. So that's basically the base.
Makes sense.
That said, we're not gonna be restricting trading or mail or anything of those. We believe that, I mean, a big part of why it is very different in the era servers that currently have the version of the add-on is that not everyone there is like actually in the challenge, right? Like there's some people that have had that like started since the beginning of Classic 2019, and they still have their characters there, and they're just like coming back maybe just to raid or to do other activities, but they didn't participate in the hardcore challenge. And there's also the people that came from Season of Mastery that might also be in this server. So it kind of like creates kind of an unfair trading ecosystem with already established gold and economy and everything. So we understand why a lot of the restrictions are there, right?
I'm really torn on this one, man. Like, obviously you guys know I'm a big fan of solo self-found. I really like the solo mindset of it. Trading will be in by default, and there's I think currently not an option to opt in for solo self-found. There's no like Soul of Iron kind of buff that's similar to that. And the current state, maybe it is something they would add if there's a big outcry from the community. If a lot of people want it, it could be perhaps something that we could get. But in the current state, there will not be, right? I think trading has a lot of issues that it's gonna bring with hardcore in a way. A lot of people have been playing hardcore with the purpose of being solo self-found. Maybe that's because the add-on has, you know, made it so that you can only play solo self-found. I do think there's some things that are cool being able to trade. Like if you're doing a duo, if you're doing a trio, you can trade with your partners and you can like, you know, find some gear and trade it to this guy and trade it to that guy. I think that's pretty cool. But it also brings a lot of bad things, I suppose, with the trading, right? I mean, obviously, bots, you know, maybe even to a certain extent, GDKPs or, you know, gold selling, stuff like that. There's a lot of issues that would come with that, even in a hardcore server, because of trading. There's multiple ways you can circumvent that, I suppose. You could do like either a Soul of Iron buff, where people could be solo self-found with the little buff on them. You could have like a toggle mode in the login screen, or you could limit trading to 60 at only, right? I definitely prefer solo self-found to a large degree. But I also think that there are some things that are probably good about being able to trade. Like if you're doing a duo or a trio, you can actually do enchanting if you do that. But I do think there's a lot of negative stuff that comes with it as well, right? Botting, gold selling, perhaps GDKPs, and so on and so forth, right? So there's the extreme way you could do it, I suppose, would be limiting trading to 60. That would then pose the idea of like, what will you do in a duo or a trio then? Do you have to like, you know, do some sort of a certain thing? Maybe there's some limitations with that. I do think the thing that's the most realistic for a lot of people will probably be a toggle mode for solo self-found, where you get a little buff that says you are solo self-found, right? That's what I think would be a realistic thing that could be done. Either you would do it when you log in or something like that, and people could see your solo self-found, right? That's something I think could be realistic, that I think could definitely be good, because it wouldn't make it so people can't play the game the other way around if they want as well, right? Yeah, just get the overlay if you train. I think if that doesn't come out, there's a lot of people that want to play solo self-found. They will still be utilizing the add-on to then do that, right? That's probably the thing that's going to happen. If there is no solo self-found version of this, they will use the add-on to do that, right? Let's keep watching it though, guys. I feel like I can go on a rant about this forever. We're going to keep watching the developer interview, because if we don't, we're going to be sitting here for 3 hours reacting to this one video, okay?
Kissing all by yourself, handsome?
Yeah. Claney, thank you for the 5 months Prime.
That said, we're really looking forward to see how that happens in our servers, in the official servers, where everybody that is in those servers are participating in the challenge. So we don't want to go out with like any kind of extra restrictions.
How is toggle any different from simply self-imposing with the add-on? Well, the toggle, what that would do is that it would make it a legitimate thing within the game, whereas the add-on is something that you choose to do yourself outside of the game, right? It would make it a legitimate like game mode within the playable hardcore thing, right? That's the main reason that would really do. It would make it so you don't have to get a hardcore add-on to play solo self-found in that regard. So it would just make it a legit thing, right?
That said, players choose
Jacob, thank you for the 13 months.
You know, go by the rules the specific rules that they want to go into that are added. They're more than welcome to do that, but we're not gonna have any restrictions.
Okay.
And we
and it's like bragging rights. Sorry, I keep pausing. So I'm very passionate about this whole thing. I like hardcore a lot, so it's something I like talking about. Yeah, and people can watch your buff. If let's say you have a toggle on and you're solo self-found, if you so desire to play that way, people can inspect you just like they could with the Mak'gora, and they could see, okay, this guy's solo self-found and he's killed 5 people in Mak'gora. He's a badass, right? It would be cool. It would just be really cool, right?
We don't have any plans of like what you're saying of like maybe we can have an extra note of like, hey, you did this in the extra mega hard mode, you know. But I mean, we're listening and we are always welcome for feedback. And, like we can like see how the PTR goes and like
Tender, thank you.
Have like more discussions, right?
I like that. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know if you want to add something.
Open some more discussions. This is cool.
I think you mentioned like, would we be incorporating like maybe a Soul of Iron style mechanic in hardcore? And the plan is to incorporate the Soul of Iron as it was in Season of Mastery into hardcore. It's largely just a cosmetic tracking of whether you have died or not. Which
do that for Solo Self-Found.
Yeah, that'll work on an official hardcore. So that point is kind of moot, but it does have a cosmetic tracker of what end of which end rank tier boss that you've killed. And like Anna said, if the add-on already does an incredible job of tracking these accomplishments that people have while leveling, fighting super hard quest content at relevant levels, or completing dungeons at relevant levels, or other types of challenges. If there is a desire from the community for that to be represented in sort of the same way that Soul of Iron does, then we'll listen to that feedback and incorporate that into our designs.
That's cool. So they're open to feedback, and if it's something people want, they're open to adding stuff. This is cool. I like that. I like that they're listening and they're open to feedback about things. This is huge. This is very, very good.
There's a desire for it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Oh my God, achievements. If they could take, I'm not saying take the achievements from the add-on, but if there was some sort of a way to achieve certain achievements by playing the game in certain ways, and you can get titles or something like such, that would be really cool too. I hate you, in my opinion, as an individual person. Right? That's how I see it. Heller C, thank you for the tier 1.
Awesome. I think that's really exciting, because hearing that you guys are open to the idea of if the community has a very...
Blizzard isn't open to feedback. They don't listen to the community at all. You do realize we're watching a video with the developers that we're getting Classic WoW Hardcore Realms, like, officially, and they're implementing rules that has been suggested by a lot of people in the community, right? I mean, this whole video is Blizzard listening to the community and giving us something that we've been wanting for a while. That's what this whole video is. I do understand there's a lot of people that don't like Blizzard, which is fair enough. Bing bong bang in the chat. But so far, what we've heard about with hardcore servers and what they've explained, I have liked it. I think it's been overall very, very overwhelmingly positive. I really think so, like in the grand scheme of things.
Strong feedback on something like that, I think, is really exciting to see that you're like willing to work on things. On that note, right now, including like restrictions, we talked about not really having too many with things like the trading. There is a current within the add-on and within the community built-in restriction for one dungeon, and only being able to do that dungeon once. It kind of gives the aspect of if an item dropped on that run on that.
I agree, Guzu, but they're also trying to make money. Who would have thought a company is trying to make money? Of course they're trying to make money. They're a company. That's what they do, right? Yeah, of course. They are gonna try to. They are trying to make money. The more people you get to play your game, the more money you make. So they're gonna try to cater to the most amount of people, right? That's a big reason why they're also not restricting trading, I believe, right? Because from what I have seen, people are actually very split on the whole trading thing. There's a lot of people that really, really prefer Solo Self-Found. I'm a big fan of Solo Self-Found personally. That's how I kind of got to enjoy hardcore. But there's also a lot of people that actually do want trading. The one thing I'm worried about is the whole longevity of the server if trading is allowed, right? That's what I'm a little bit worried about, personally.
Peepovu.
Skippin, thank you for the 5 months.
You get really excited. It's the blessed run. Does Blizzard have any plans on implementing any sort of dungeon restrictions or walkout restrictions for the hardcore realms?
Yes. We're going to have the restriction of you will only be able to do one dungeon per day. It's a bit different than the add-on restrictions, but it's gonna basically work like a heroic, where you can only do one dungeon one time a day.
She means one dungeon, like one lockout per dungeon, not like only one dungeon. I think that's what she means.
And that restriction is going to be lifted by the time you get to the level 60. So you are able to do.
So you could go do Dead Mines into SFK into Wailing Caverns, but only one of each dungeon per day. That's what she means. I think it was phrased wrong. Yeah, like heroics, exactly, like heroics.
This type of restriction sort of it mostly serves the case of we really want to emphasize being out in the world and doing questing content and experiencing other players, like running into other players in the outdoor world. and we don't want like dungeon cleave or spell cleave to be the primary way that people feel obligated to level up in. So we really feel like that the 24-hour lockout timer on dungeons will help facilitate that. And like we said before, if people
I think this is a good middle ground. If you do want to do a bunch of dungeons, you could do, let's say, a level 45. You want to do a few Sulfurak runs. You can do a Sulfurak run, do some leveling. Do whatever you want. Next day you can do another Sulfurak run, but you can't spam them. I think this is good. Up until level 60, then you can do whatever you want.
To impose extra restrictions on themselves, we're 100%.
I like this.
In support of the modding.
Exactly, Daily. I agree.
Community for
there's always room for improvement.
Doing that, but at this time we don't have a plan of making it so that you can only do one dungeon for the entirety of your level up process.
Yeah, I think that'll work out really well with people that play the game all the time are gonna out level the dungeons no matter what. Yeah, and then people that are playing very casually will be able to go back and run it again, and that'll should be really enjoyable.
Exactly. So. And yeah, like Anna said, there's no
push Aspen's idea of this. Set dungeon XP to 10% and dungeon XP quests to 400. That is much better. So you can grind items and not XP in dungeons. I actually disagree. I like this rule a lot personally. For me, this rule I think is really cool. You can do a dungeon, you can do multiple if you even want, but you can't spam them for gear. You can't spam them for stuff. Another thing that also makes this good for is that it's gonna make boosting low levels for gear less prevalent. Yes, you can still do that. There's probably still gonna be stuff like that happening, but it's gonna make it less prevalent, right? Which is I think is a good thing. Overall, this change I like.
No such restriction for level 60 players. Level 60.
Yeah, it makes 40 to 60 a lot more bearable.
For dungeons. If you're a druid and you got to farm Nomergon, then go for it, man.
Yeah, you have to do it. Does that mean inherently within the game systems will there be issues grouping with level 60 players? I know that's currently within the system of hardcore, but would that mean there's any sort of restrictions going on there?
You're absolutely right. Players who are not level 60 will not be able to get into the same dungeons as level 60 players. So it'll prevent max level characters from boosting people through dungeons.
There is a way around this though. You could just have a 59 then, right? So there could just be like a 59 boosting instead. There's a big loophole here, which probably should be addressed in some sort of way, right? Unless they do address it, we'll see.
And there will be the same sort of XP penalty system that existed in Season of Mastery and Wrath Classic.
Yeah, it would still kill the XP. That is fair enough. You couldn't like the XP will be. Oh, yeah, we read that in the blue post as well. There will be no boosting for XP. I'm talking about boosting in terms of boosting for gear, right? So you get a level 59 into like Maraudon and you boost someone for like a Princess Dagger or such, right? But yeah. Still,
where if there's too big of a differential between the lowest level person and a higher level person in a group, sub 60, then
and you can also do only one per day. That is fair. Yeah, I think overall, like I like this. This is good. I mean,
P will be nerfed to encourage players of a similar level band to.
Not much boosting for gear, just keep leveling. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I just wanted to mention it because it's the first thing that really came up in my mind, right? So yeah, fair enough.
To take on those challenges.
Yeah, I think that was very well received, getting rid of the boosting. So that'll be really nice. Without the restrictions then and without the boosting, we're going to see everybody mostly level in the open world. There is a hot topic around players right now around using things like world buffs in the open world and getting world buffs. And are there any changes or plans to change world buffs and how they interact with players?
I don't think they will right now
in the hardcore realms.
There's no plans on changing how world buffs behave. In fact, you'll be able to get the Chrono Boon Displacer on hardcore realms. I think we've learned some lessons from Season of Mastery and not having world buffs, and yes, they make your character incredibly powerful, but at the end of the day, they're one of the biggest social. They're an incredibly fun social event to gather up for. Especially,
there is a few world buffs that are annoying. I will say that. I will say that there is some that are kind of annoying. All right, I remember raiding in Molten Core on Wawa, not on Wawa, on Gussie, sorry. After Gar, the entire raid would leave the raid, go into UBRS, everybody would leave the raid, go into 10-man groups, go into UBRS to get to the Spellbinder that's in the beginning of UBRS, and then everybody would get the 80 fire resistance buff. That one I do not like, okay, but I don't really think you can classify that as a world buff. That's more so like a mind control mob that you can mind control and give some buffs. I hated that, but I don't really have a problem with Oni buff. I don't really have a problem with CG buff. Songflower, not even that either. I don't really have a problem with those, honestly. I think this is fine. Yeah, this is fine for me. Lebe, thank you for the prime.
Especially in hardcore, and you feel that it is exciting.
This is fine for me. I like this.
Rallying Cry of the Dragon Slayer, and then be like, I can go do Barons. I can level up really fast now. And it's also going to be interesting on a fresh server where no one's at max level. No one's going to be dropping these buffs at the start, and it will be a special event towards the beginning when these buffs start dropping. So I think we want to maintain sort of how unique the social gathering is for world buffs, even in hardcore.
I'm fine with this. I don't have any issues with this. As I said, that UBRS thing is annoying as heck, but that doesn't really classify as a world buff. That's more so like a mind control thing, right, with priests. But yeah, I think that's fine.
We are, though, gonna be removing the debuff limit and the buff limit.
This is cool.
That's huge.
Yeah, this is sick.
So you're gonna be able to have as many bosses as your heart decides.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's it felt really bad in classic,
like Shadow Priests, Affliction Warlocks, Boomkins,
abilities, because it didn't do enough for other abilities. It would like take over deep wounds.
Hunters can serpent sting as much as they want if they so desire.
And stuff. So that's amazing. I think all like hunters and druids everywhere can
you can play a warlock with a corruption.
Dots in a raid. What's happening here?
You actually get to use your abilities. That's wild.
Yeah. That's cool. I like this.
That'll be very well, hopefully very, very well received.
Carrot and Rupture, if you want to.
The social aspects, like the world buffs, getting the first ones is going to be one of the most exciting things on the realm.
Yeah.
But that the social aspect of hardcore also leads itself to griefing. And I know a lot of people are encouraged to play the game their own way, but Blizzard has been cracking down on griefing as much as possible lately.
Yeah.
So could you give us a little insight into how you plan to deal with griefing, or kind of try to prevent it so that someone that's been leveling for like the last month doesn't just get deleted for something they couldn't avoid?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to talk about like
nobody gets griefed besides streamers. That is a very, very uneducated take, Willie. I'm sorry to tell you. Griefers have been very, very prevalent on the hardcore servers, okay? Again, I always give this example, but there has been a guy on the EU servers called Kiter. He is a hunter that have been for weeks, maybe even months, kiting down the elites from Ashenvale down to Crossroads and killing everybody in Crossroads for like 10 hours per day. Literally for months. Okay, it's not just streamers that are getting griefed. If anything, it's like a lot more people than just streamers. You just see the streamers getting griefed because they're streaming. You don't see the non-streamers being griefed because they don't stream, right? But it is very much happening all over the place. South Shore, people kite the guards down and scatter shot feint death to aggro somebody up. Same thing in Soul Group with the guards in Soul Group and such like that as well. Griefing has been a big problem on the hardcore servers for a long time. So it's good that Blizzard is trying to circumvent this and is trying to do something about it. For a hardcore server, I think that's amazing. Obviously, PvP realms are very different. You know, if you're in a PvP contested zone on a normal server, that's PvP flag, whatever heck, that's different. Because you're in a PvP server, it is what it is. If a max level rogue wants to sit and camp people with a Perdition's Blade and the Stranglethorn Veil camp, I guess that's PvP, right? But hardcore is just a little bit different in that regard, I believe. So, yeah.
Specifically what we're going to be doing for PvP.
Okay.
Because PvP, other players sometimes are the main culprits that that are of this kind of behavior, right? So For example, we have been looking at different situations that have arisen, like, for example, people right-clicking on a flight master and then like, oh, there was a rogue there, surprise.
Little stealthy boy.
So the main thing is that we want to make that PvP interactions are 100% like something that the player wanted to engage on. So the first thing is like servers are going to be PvE only. And the second part is that really the only way that we want you to get flagged for PvP is by you typing flag to PvP, right? Like we don't want any like right-clicking into stealth characters or any of those behaviors. We're really going around and like looking and trying to fix all of those. So it's like something that the player actually has to go and ask for it. So I would encourage also for anyone that goes into the PTR, if you see some behavior that happened that is like, hey, I got flagged for PvP and I wasn't looking for it, let us know also, so we can also go in and, you know, add certain behaviors there. So that's one of the biggest ones that right now we're looking into, kind of like PvP. It's because you want to, but we also want to encourage it for the people that are looking for that. So like, I don't know if you have heard about like the duel to the death, that it's...
So it's something that you didn't mention here, but we got in the blue post. You can still flag yourself for PvP. You can do /PvP and still engage in PvP as well, but you cannot accidentally right-click someone and then attack them. You have to type /PvP to hit another player. Okay, so you can't like get baited to attack someone. You can still attack a guard accidentally. If somebody runs up to a flight master in Booty Bay and accidentally right-clicks the wrong flight master, you will still die. That is not changed. The only thing that's changed is the PvP thing where you have to type /PvP. Somewhat similar to war mode, but you don't have to be in a major city to activate it, right? That's really it. So I think this is fine for hardcore. This is good. It like the only reason that was really used for was to bait people to get flagged and then kill them for grief purposes, right? So yeah, this is fine. I like this. This is good.
Coming up.
No BG for honor. No BGs for honor is so whack. Well, I think a lot of people want to. I don't really think that's what hardcore is really about. All of those things obviously would be way different if it was on a normal, fresh server with like PvP and everything like that. But that's not what it really is. This is for a hardcore specific server that caters to the way that hardcore is played and has been played for a long time, right? If you attack a flagged player, does that flag you? No, you have to type /PvP. That's what she explained.
And it's gonna be a very like conscious, a special kind of duel. You still can duel if you want, like regular duels.
Can you Makara the opposite faction? We don't know that. We will figure that out when we get to play on the PTR. That is we're gonna be testing a buttload of stuff. Obviously, I want to see if you can forfeit a Makara, and I also want to see if you can Makara another faction. You know, we will know that when PTR comes out.
If you want to do one of these, it's gonna be with a very explicit, I'm here because I want to kill you, you know. And like something really cool is like if you get to kill to defeat an opponent, you're gonna start getting a cosmetic buff, basically saying like how many people you have killed by like maybe an ear icon, maybe giving a
this
reference
is cool. I like this.
to other games, you know. So it's something
badass.
that's coming up, but we want it to be something that is like very conscious. Same with battlegrounds, you know, queuing for random battlegrounds is not going to be allowed. It's going to be disabled. But if you still want to play against other players in Warzone and kind of have like a bloodbath in Warzone, go ahead, go do it. But you're going to have to do it via a war game, so you're going to have to find the group.
Yeah, this is fine.
Duel them basically and get into the
So you can still do battlegrounds, you just have to do it with a war mode. Or like, not war mode, sorry, war game. I think this is fine for a hardcore server, yeah.
For all the good streams.
Thank you for watching, Bukati. Thank you for the 4 months as well. I think this is cool.
We have also had other areas where we have like trying to reduce the griefing. Like Tim can talk to you a little bit about, for example, kiting mobs and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
So
here comes the leashing
we
thing.
all have seen the video of Taramis being kited from Blasted Lands to unsuspecting adventurers in Elwyn. And while that might be funny to watch as an observer, it's miserable as the actual person getting killed. So creatures will sort of respect zone boundaries, and we're building a system to prevent creatures from being able to be kited outside of Blasted Lands if that's the creature's zone of spawning. So
to circumvent griefing, this is very good. This means that you can still kite a mob around to solo it in that retrospective zone. If you're doing a hunter quest in Winterspring, you can still kite it around everywhere and like do whatever the heck you want. But you can't bring Teramis to Stormwind. You cannot bring the Ashenvale elites down to Crossroads. You can't bring a Devilsaur up to Shimmering Flats to kill Soryu on stream, right? I think this is huge for hardcore. Yeah, this is good for a hardcore thing.
That will be something that we're doing. I know Anna briefly touched on. We're looking at quests one by one to see like, was this a quest that flagged people for PvP?
Yes, yeah, I know. You guys are gonna say, yeah, if you're within that zone. If you're in Ashenvale or if you're in Blasted Lands, someone could still kite Teramus to you in that zone, right? Yes, that can still happen. But it really is a good fix to the majority of the griefing with that. I think this is good. This is good, I think. You cannot bring like a bunch of mobs. You can't bring Volchan from like Burning Steppies down to Elven Forest and kill everybody in Goldshire, right? How is Index supposed to stream? You know what I mean? Like that's how it goes.
PvP unintentionally.
I think this is fair. Yeah, this is a good big W.
That from being able to happen. Even quests where like escort quests in particular have been sort of targets for interference. And we're changing the faction templates on those creatures that are the escortee so that they can't be pulled out of combat to screw with that person's experience doing that quest. Might ruin the fun for someone out there, but I think we're preserving the leveling experience.
I think the only people that are really angry about this are people that wanted to play hardcore to grieve other players. Because like all these changes for general hardcore like health and stuff, that's good. The people that are angry about this are people that wanted to play it to grief. So I think overall this is fantastic. You can still kite mobs around. You can still do anything you want within the zones. You just can't grief in the same way, right? So honestly, huge W from Blizzard here.
It's better for that person actually trying to do the quest in that circumstance. So
yeah, you mentioned there's some quests. You mentioned quests that have been notorious to get griefed, like in Westfall, the Defias Messenger's already been fixed. But there are some quests where there's things that you can't really do, like inside of Blackrock Mountain, the quest for like getting a key, or like potentially the Vadir Elixir quest for the Link quest, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys have any plans on adjusting those so they're possible to get done by players doing or playing on this realm, really?
100%. Those quests are already fixed so that they're doable on hardcore without dying.
Okay, way too many ones here.
Specifically, the Vadir Elixir quest for the Lincoln Ungoro line. Instead of killing you when you drink it in the Gadgetzan graveyard, it'll take you to like 1% HP and give you a near-death experience, but you won't be dead. And so for the next 5 to 10 minutes, you'll be able to go north into the hills. Just probably heal to full before you do that.
Okay.
So you don't get killed by random scorpion.
That's
or something.
fine. Same thing, I guess, that this also goes to with the BRD key quest, when you gotta go get the key with that. You gotta talk to that ghost guy in the thing. Maybe they'll just make it so he's like still kind of like a ghosty boy, but you can target him even if you're alive, right? I assume that's how they're gonna do that, right? So instead of having you to be dead, the ghost is probably just standing there and you can talk to him, right? I think for hardcore this is fine.
But under that aura, with that aura being active, you'll be able to talk with the quest giver there. And same with the Shadowforge key quest line for Blackrock Depths. You'll be able to gaze into the spectrum.
I haven't pre-watched it, okay? It's just the first thing that came to mind when he said Vadira. It's the BRD key, right?
Fire in the corner of that room, and when you get that aura, you'll be able to interact with the quest giver without being dead.
That's fine.
So we're definitely looking at all the red flag quests that have been mentioned by the hardcore community, and doing our best to address every one of those. So those changes should be live on the PTR.
Okay.
That was gonna cause so much frustration.
Yes.
There's two things that you mentioned that I don't want to gloss over too much on, but I wanted to. So you mentioned the Mock Raw potential system where you could also have like a cosmetic on your character showcasing your wins. I know the community has expressed like any interest in potentially looting the person you've defeated or anything like that. But
no, I don't want that personally. I personally, for me, I don't think you should be able to loot other players.
Seeing any sort of cosmetic, I think, is amazing. So the Makara is a very standard system where everyone has to opt into it, but you will still be able to normally duel, and you will get this cosmetic for as many wins as you get, right?
Thank you, Capone.
Yeah, only on the duel to the death, you know, like if you do a regular duel, you know, we're not gonna be counting those. Those are not real ones. But
That's
this
fair.
one's just it's kind of like a hint of like, hey, look, I'm a very, very like really good opponent. So that said, though, there's gonna be certain restrictions of like levels, because of course we believe that like in order for you to get a token, it should be like a fair match, right? And not like, okay, I'm just gonna be dueling people that are level 1, you know, kind of like those kind of restrictions. So we are adding some restrictions level wise, so it's a fair opponent that you're competing against. But yeah, it's definitely something I'm like super excited. Like I'm just excited to like when people get to like do the first tournament we duel with the dead. I'm gonna be like watching there with like eating popcorn and see like how it goes. really excited.
Those tournaments, there's a lot of plans in the works for doing tournaments.
Nice.
I could imagine
for those. And you mentioned the PTR, and now everyone should know about PTR. Are there gonna be level restrictions on PTR held for tournaments at all, or is everything gonna be available? And what are you guys looking out for anyone that's playing the PTR to report to you to help enhance the experience of the live realms?
Overall, like the main things that we are looking for.
30 is level cap for the PTR. Okay, fair enough. So whenever the PTR does release, which a lot of people asking in the chat, I don't know when it will release. I have no clue, but there is level 30 is the level cap.
Forwards for players are going to be especially on the looks of us. If there's any other new kind of griefing mechanics that you are finding, like we already
it will be
talked about
today,
this quest, but if there's like a quest that
today at some point. Yeah, we don't know when today. That's what I mean. Stop looking at me with the Mike Wazowski mode, okay?
We missed, or if there's also a different like way of like you got flagged for PvP. So those kind of behaviors or like kind of like unfair deaths, because we are also adding certain mechanics to minimize what we deem as like unfair deaths. Like for example, disconnecting mid-flight. And then...
Dude, guys, I'm sorry. I gotta replay this. I do a thing sometimes where I just don't pay attention at all. It's nothing to do with the video. I have issues. Okay, I literally didn't pay attention for like a whole minute there. I don't know what just happened. I just completely spaced out. Sorry, I'm gonna have to replay that. I'm so sorry. I actually, it did not go into my brain. It happens.
Like way of like you got flagged for PvP, so those kind of behaviors or like kind of like unfair deaths, because we are also adding certain mechanics to minimize what we deem as like unfair deaths. Like, for example, disconnecting mid-flight and then like you just die, like fall to your death, right? So we're adding some mechanics there to kind of like minimize those kind of things. So
okay, that's
if there's
fair.
certain behaviors like that, please let us know. That said, there's no plans. For example, if the whole
appeals,
servers
right?
go
I guess
down and there's like certain situation like that, we also want players and everybody that wants to join this challenge to also kind of recognize that this is a risk they're willing to take, right? Like getting into hardcore comes with risks. You might die to another player, you might die to the environment, but there's also some things that might be out of our control that also are out of our like Blizzard control that we're not gonna be able to bring back. So really, just keep an extra eye on that and like, but let us know if it's something that like we can potentially add. Let us know. Yeah.
I like that they're open about it though. Like I think this is cool. I mean, so far what we've learned from this interview is that they're open to like change things or like in a certain direction if the majority of people want it, or if there's a big part of the community that outcries for a certain thing, right? Which obviously I'm gonna go back to the same thing again. If there's a lot of people that would like some sort of a SSF thing, for potential stuff. That could be a thing that they mayhaps might do, right? Whether it's a certain little buff or a certain thing you are gonna be toggling in the what is it called, in the character creation screen, or also as well achievements. Will there be some sort of an achievement, or will you have to utilize the add-on for that? So yeah, I mean, I think it's cool that they are willing to listen and stuff like that, and we'll see how it goes, right? Yeah.
Since you mentioned that and unfair deaths, and it seems like
we'll
you're
see how
doing
it goes,
everything you
obviously.
can to minimize that, does that mean that there is going to be zero appeal system within the game? If anyone dies, they're just like, you've lost it. We're not rolling
Freddy
back
Boy,
anything.
thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct.
I didn't listen again. I'm so sorry, guys. This is why I had issues in school, man.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, guys. It happens. Okay, I apologize.
That and unfair deaths, and it seems like you're doing everything you can to minimize that. Does that mean that there is going to be zero appeal system within the game? If anyone dies,
zero
they're
appeals.
just like,
Okay,
you've lost it. We're not rolling back anything.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So no appeals.
We're trying to be as proactive as possible to create systems like preventing creatures from being kited throughout zones. We mentioned that earlier. And the flight disconnect, like if you ever dismounted from a taxi, the game will check whether or not you're in a situation where you would fall to your death. And if you would, then it will attempt to teleport you to the flight master that you started the flight path on. And if it can't do that, then it'll try to teleport you to the nearest graveyard. So,
okay, I mean, so they're trying to like make it so you can't die to just like a random disconnect on a flight path and you get thrown off. That's cool. I like this. It like that's not like it has nothing to do with you as a player. It has nothing to do with you playing the game. You just get thrown off a flight path and die. I think this is really good. Yeah.
You're correct. There's going to be no appeals process, but we're going to try to prevent those unfortunate, uncontrollable deaths proactively.
Teleport to Searing Gorge at level 12. Oh no! Well, at least you have like a chance of surviving instead of just falling off and dying, okay? At least there's a slight chance maybe then. Then you could just like Hearthstone afterwards.
Unfortunate deaths kind of being mitigated. I know a lot of the community has been seeing some raids happening lately where guilds or raids have been using Petrification Flask or Bubble Hearth, and
here's the pet treat, man. Okay, there's the pet.
Some restrictions on the current hardcore like community, but is there going to be any restrictions for anything like that on the actual hardcore realm?
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to cover this, Anna? Or
yeah, I can go on there. You can talk about the Petrific.
Sure.
Oh, she does not want to talk about that. Okay, she knows. She does not want to get into that conversation.
Sorry, my tongue. Anyways, but there's gonna be certain class restrictions. So, for example, Ankh, of course, it's out of the question.
Yeah, makes sense.
But also, Bubble Heart,
hi, Toby.
known to the community, it's also gonna be disabled. Like, we're not gonna allow players to kind of like use their mechanics in that kind of way. So, yep, those are gonna be out of the question.
Thank you for your
That's fine.
We have done a very, very like big conversation about the flask, and like Tim can give you more about like the logic that we have behind it too.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. I think this is a brand new environment for players. The economy is going to be fresh, and
I will say though, when it comes to trading, I'm worried about like the late game, since it's going to be an evergreen server at some point, man. It's gonna be bad, okay? It will be at some point, I think, but because like people will just get max level and store all their stuff on level 1s. You know, you're gonna get max level, you're gonna farm all the things that you do. If you're a person that sells gold or whatever the heck, you farm all your stuff, you send it to level 1s, and then you sell it from there, and so on and so forth, right? So it probably long term will be very bad in that regard, but yeah, we'll see. There was, I don't know if restrictions will be made in that regard. Obviously, there was a few servers, special bar servers, that has restricted the levels for like brackets. Some people have recommended there to be only trading at level 60, which I think is a good way of really doing it, right? Or just adding a solo self-found mode, which I think will be the way that they're going to end up doing it, right? But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, on Era Realms, you have people who've been playing since 2019. You have people who were playing in Season of Mastery.
Sorry, you mentioned trading at X levels. Yeah, so you could only trade from like 5 to 10, or like from 10 to 15, or 15 to 20, and stuff like that. But people would just like make alts and like trade down, unless you made like a barrier where you can't trade down under a certain thing. So a level 50 couldn't trade to a 49, and then like it would be locked above 50 or something, right? I don't know. I know that's what that server Turtle WoW does, but I think in terms of like, I don't know. I think that would be too hard for them to really want to implement, because it's going to alienate more people than it's going to make people happy, I think. So I don't think that's something they're going to do. I do think something that would be realistic to get, we're talking about what realistically could be added, is I think, again, a button or like a thing you can turn on that will make you solo self-found, and you would get a certain buff or a little achievement or whatever the heck that people inspect you with, and you could see this guy's SSF, right? I think that is what is gonna be realistic to be added, right? But yeah,
transferred, and there's less regulation, I think, in the hardcore community of resources being traded between each other. So that might be one reason why petrification flasks are so plentiful at the highest level right now. And
it's just how it goes. After a server has been up for a certain amount, no matter if it's hardcore or TPC or Wrath or retail, any game really where there's an economy, people will it will eventually just be kind of, you know, it'll end up like that. There's going to be so many things in circulation. More and more people will obviously die because like stuff like that. But yeah, make it seasonal. They could make like there would be a reset at some point, but then it's like, will you reset all the characters? What about all people's characters? Or will there be like, you know, it can't really do it. I don't know. That's a different thing entirely, right? Because they said they wanted to be like an evergreen server. So I highly doubt it'll be like a seasonal thing. That's a way you could do it. Like every whatever the heck, there would be a reset, but it would like make it so a lot of people wouldn't want to play because, oh, the reset is in a week, I might as well just not play, right? Unless you keep the character in that season, but then you would just have like a billion seasons, right? There's so many complications with adding those things, I think. I feel like people want to remove everything to the point they're just playing more torture and not fun. It's just, they want to add it in a way where you make the most amount of people happy. And I think what could make the most amount of people happy in the general idea is at least have some sort of a mode so you're able to play solo self-found in a legitimate way without having the add-on to solidify you being hardcore, or like solo self-found, sorry, right? I think that's the most logical way of really adding it. Add a official version for solo self-found in a toggle thing, a buff, whatever the heck. It will be a legit thing within the game. You wouldn't have to have an add-on to show that you're solo self-found, and that's how it goes, right?
We're going to be actively monitoring.
Simply choose to play that way. Well, you can also just simply choose to play hardcore, right? But I just think having it be a legit thing with SSF in some sort of capacity could be cool. It could, because there's a big amount of the player base that would want to do that, right? And then there could be small communities within the server that in order to be in our guild, you have to have that little buff with SSF, right? And that would be pretty cool. Then you know people that you've been playing with has been SSF, right? Or whatever the heck. That could be pretty dank, I think.
This and obviously listening to player feedback. But I think having very powerful tools, especially at the highest level when you've put so much time into your character, if you've saved up the resources and crafted a very powerful item that is relatively rare.
Okay.
I mean, Black Lotus will still be very hard to find.
Dude, I thought someone was in my apartment, but it was like my hand on the cam. Sorry. Sorry.
Then it's okay for you to have those types of tools. That's sort of the flavor of Classic, to have these sort of not oddball, but like,
thank you, Lomboy.
They're very unique tools and consumables that you have. So yeah, to start off, there's going to be no changes to Petrification Flask or
starting off, okay,
or the leave party teleport out of dungeon mechanic, but we'll monitor.
I think the main reason for that whole leave dungeon teleport mechanic out of the dungeon, it's not really a thing that's in the game to circumvent people being able to like really teleport out. It's more so like I think it's from like a perspective like they want to make sure people don't grieve dungeons by leaving the dungeon within the group and then just staying in that dungeon, making it so other people cannot enter the dungeon as well. That's why it's an issue with that whole thing, I think. It's not really to like
first time donating to a streamer.
Hey,
love your stuff.
Don Cristo, thank you for the 3, and I appreciate the support, man. Thank you so much. I think the main thing about this is really just like, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to removing Petri. Okay, I said it. Yeah.
Guzu.
I would have no issue with removing petrification. I think that would be the easiest way of really going about that, right? I have no problem with that, because I think also, by the way, thank you for the tier 3 sub, Mr. Wolf, by the way, 2 months, thank you. I think Vibe, I'm turning German here. I think wipe prevention is a skill. If you're in a raid, you pull way too many mobs, you pull too many bosses, even in a dungeon, it is a skill thing. It's like, okay, we need to like, maybe Billy can go and sacrifice his character or pull away the mobs, and with the other people can get out and try to Hearthstone out. It's a lot more cool, like trying to come up with some cool ideas in the heat of the moment, rather than, okay, guys, everybody leave the group and pop a Petri. I think that's cooler. I think it's way more cool having some sort of like a plan to prevent the wipe from fully happening. Maybe sacrificing a few players, or maybe trying to come up with a plan so you can get out. Right? I think that's cool, but that's my take on it. Right? That's how I see it. If you can make it 60, you should have one cheat death thing, but only one, something you can spam. Alliance have Light of a Loon. Horde does not have a one-time use thing, but Alliance does have a Light of a Loon they can use one time, which you could Light of a Loon Hearthstone. Wicker, thank you. Wicker, wow, thank you for the prime. But yeah, that's how I see it. I think petrification, I would have no issue if it was removed entirely from the hardcore server. Personally, I think it could be kind of interesting to see how people would circumvent deaths instead of just petrificationing out, right? Yeah.
That situation, we're just interested to see what the use case of Petrification Flask will be in a server with a brand new untainted economy.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Fair enough. They did say that they're open to stuff though. Stop over-explaining, dude. I'm gonna over-explain so goddamn hard, Xenocide. You know why? Because I'm kind of passionate about this. Okay, I have been playing hardcore and World of Warcraft vanilla for a very long time, so it's something I like talking about, and that shouldn't come as a surprise. Okay.
2 questions left for you guys, because I know your time is really valuable, so thank you.
Okay.
There is currently within the add-on itself, one of the favorite things most people like is obviously the announcement system and seeing how people die.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Last words.
I love seeing people die. I mean, not not like that, but it's like, okay, that came out wrong. I love that. It's cool that there's an announcement whenever there's a death, because it's just, I don't know. I just think it's cool that there's like a little bing, and then you see someone died. Okay, in game in World of Warcraft.
Plans on implementing that, or would you encourage people to maybe keep the add-on for something like that?
Okay.
We are implementing some announcements for sure.
Okay.
Yes. So guild chat. Whenever someone dies, if they're in your guild, you're gonna be notified about it. And then whenever someone gets to level 60, it's gonna be announced on the server.
Oh, that's kind of cool. All right, I mean that's pretty cool, I will say. Yeah, that's actually really cool. I like that.
There's gonna be some official notifications that are going around. Definitely, we had to have like a conversation of like, okay, do we really want to be like talking to everyone about like, hey, this person died in the full...
I like that when it's within the guild, but because I will say it can get very spammy, right? And yeah, it can get very, very spammy. So you can see if somebody died in your guild, you can see it, right? And there's probably going to be massive community guilds and stuff like that. And yes, Phantasm, to answer your question, you will be able to duo with people, as grouping is not restricted whatsoever. You can duo or trio or whatever your heart desires. That is something you can do, yep.
Server when they're level 2 died, Anna died again, level 3, and then it's like, okay, sorry. So definitely there's gonna be like,
they're gonna make a guild. I think come official hardcore, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we should make like a little thing. I think I don't know. I haven't spoken to him, but I heard rumors that Savix might go on EU, so we could, combine our communities and make like a guild together with Savix and stuff like that. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm not gonna say that for him because I actually don't know if he's gonna go EU. If he does go EU, we could make a joint guild with Savix, and we could make like a massive community guild together. I think that could be really cool. It's just having like a big, massive guild for everybody in our community, right? I think that could be amazing. I haven't spoken to Savix yet about that, but I'm sure that he would be down for it, okay? I'm super, super sure that he would.
That is gonna be more around the guild, and then for like getting to level 60 is like a super big feature that we want everybody to know about, right? And celebrate it.
With that, because that leads perfectly, because that's a really exciting thing that you guys are adding. Is there anything else flavorful or exciting either of you two have specifically worked on, or either of you two are specifically excited about for the hardcore realms that you think people should like keep their eyes on?
I know, I'm just
because for me my favorite is really the Duel to the Death and all like those
that's
like,
cool. I like that too.
We already talked about it, so I'm just so excited about it. But yeah, I don't know. Overall, I'm just really excited about
Mod Hot Cold. I like that. The Mod Hot Cold.
And like just how like come in the official servers and even in PTR, like just to go see that. Like, the other thing too is that if you die, you become a ghost and you can still go back to the world as a ghost.
That's cool too. So nice feature.
That's the second thing I know that I think about it. That's another thing I'm excited about is just see like, will people actually stay as ghosts and maybe create ghost community? Maybe there'll be like a guild that is full of ghosts.
Oh my god, they're gonna have like little sessions in Goldshire all sitting in a circle with all their dead friends and be like, yeah man, I just died, dude. Fuck. Yeah. God damn.
Or something and just roam around. I don't know. Maybe some RPs with like the little dots of the night elves just following each other. I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, maybe people will just be like, okay, I'm gonna go transfer to
that's cool. I mean, I don't know.
My journey there if that's what they want.
Ghost AA meetings.
But like, really excited to see if there's gonna be any ghost communities. Maybe I don't know.
I think
that's cool.
Like for me, a lot of what I've worked on for hardcore is revolved around just improving the quality of life of quest content, making sure people don't get flagged unintentionally, and so just seeing people have a good time that is uninterrupted and not being sort of negatively impacted by people wanting to ruin their experience. I think that'll be the greatest success for me to see. I'm also just excited to play. Like the community in hardcore is so supportive and fun to be around, even if failure is imminent. it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Super good the interview.
Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to share all
this
information
amazing.
And for putting it's so exciting to see when like the people working on the game love to play it and are excited to do get to experience what they've been working on. So thank you guys so much for taking the time today.
Thank you, Sarth. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, really nice meeting you.
Really, really nice to meet you. I'll see you at BlizzCon, hopefully.
I will link it right here, guys, obviously. Check out Sarth's channel, guys. Sarth is amazing. He's really... This interview was fantastic, actually. I'll link it right here, guys. Check him out. Give him a little sub and support the boy himself. What a really good interview, man. That is amazing. Guys, I think overall, I will say as an anecdote for this whole video that we watched, it took a long time to watch, but it was very informational, very interesting to talk about. This was overall a massive W, I think. I I think all the things that they talked about in general, I agree with to a certain extent. I think it's cool that they're open to a bunch of things. It's a fantastic start to hardcore. They're listening to the community. They're adding some features. They didn't just slap like a death equals delete on. They're actually trying to listen and do some certain things for it. I think I would like to say as well, I've mentioned this a lot doing this whole video, is I would love to see like some sort of a feature for SSF, whether it being a toggleable thing or a little sort of like a buff you get, maybe some achievement stuff like that. I think that could be really cool, but overall I actually think this is really cool. The whole trading thing and everything like that is a very big controversial topic. Obviously, I would love to see an official SSF solo self-found thing in some capacity. That I would like to see. But honestly, I like this interview. It was really cool. It was really good by Sarth as well. I agree with other people about SSF option. Oh, this is the first comment. But there would be an option before you create a character. You check a box. You can play SSF or not. And if you check the box, it disables the group trading, mailbox, your character name. Let people you're playing SSF. Yeah, because this would make people be able to make solo self-found guilds. And be like, okay, if you're in this guild, you're solo self-found. Maybe at level 60, that whole thing. Maybe, okay, hold on. I need to talk slower because I talk too fast when I talk about things that I, bing bong bang. Maybe if there was to be a solo self-found thing, you will toggle it on, you would get a little buff. Whenever you get to level 60, it opens up trading, but you would still retain that buff to let people know that you've leveled all the way with solo self-found, and then you can join a guild and be within that community, right? I don't know. It could be cool. So shunning players that aren't SSF. No, I feel like this is doing the exact opposite. Having like a toggleable SSF option would be the most, I guess, like reasonable middle ground way of really doing it. If people want to play SSF, they just toggle it on and then you play solo self-found within the game. That's pretty much it, right? And then the rest of the people would basically be able to trade and hang out with each other, right? That's pretty much it. There is no solo self-found currently within the game, but I do think it could be cool to have that option to toggle it on if you so desire, all right? But overall, really, really cool video. I think it's amazing. A lot of the things that just use the add-on. Well, the reason why I'm disagreeing with just use the add-on is because if you just use the add-on, it's not like a legitimate thing within the game. If they add it as an actual option to do within the server or like within the game, it would make it more legit, and it would make it cool for the people that want to play in that way, that they can show other people in the game like, okay, this guy's solo self-found and he's doing that thing. I think that'd be cool, and it also makes it easier to not just have the add-on on and cheat, right? Because if you toggle it on, then maybe you couldn't trade at all, right? I don't know. It could be cool. Regardless, really cool interview, really amazing video. I think it's awesome. Overall, very, very positively. I guess you could. Yeah, positive over it overall. I think it's amazing. So we'll have to see what happens.